So my name is Hope Bohanec, and I am the projects manager for United Poultry Concerns. I've also written a book called The Ultimate Betrayal, Is There Happy Meat? But we'll get to that. First, we're going to start in my childhood, and this really kind of sums up my childhood. My questioning of how we treat animals, how we treat the planet, how we treat each other came from a really young age, and it was definitely nature, not nurture. I was raised in a Southern Baptist, born-again Christian household in the South, very conservative, very Republican, and I was doing all this questioning and had church as a huge part of my life. And my family just didn't really know what to do with me. I was definitely the little black sheep. But I went vegetarian at 16. I didn't know any other vegetarians. I just knew I didn't want to eat my friends. And went vegan at 20, and I've now been vegan for 25 years, so you can do the math. And my early teens was a lot of environmental activism. That's kind of what really drew me into activism. And I heard about the plight of the redwood forest in northern California, Humboldt County, Mendocino County. And so I just kind of went, and in my late teens rather, and started doing forest protection work in the early 90s. This picture on the right here is me going up to a tree sit. We would go up 80, 90 feet and sit in the platforms. It's crazy activism. It's very dangerous, very intense. And we would do blockades of roads, the logging roads, so the logging equipment couldn't get into the trees. We'd sit there for all day long. I wish I had the time to tell you all kinds of amazing stories, but I just have a very short amount of time. But this is one of my many arrests in the 90s. That's actually me on the far right with the arm in the air, being arrested on the top of the California Department of Forestry. And I was dressed like a little fox creature, but my face was painted. That's why my face looks kind of weird. But anyway, I did a ton of activism, grassroots activism in the early 90s. This was actually a GMO demonstration that I was at. Back then we called it biotech. Banning of biotech, so that's been a long time struggle, even though we're probably just now hearing about it, some of you. And then we protested the rodeo, circuses, fur. I went from going to the protest to helping make signs for the protest to organizing the protests, and that's kind of my evolution through the 90s, doing a lot of really grassroots stuff. And into the later 90s, I started actually bringing the tactics from Earth First into animal rights, because the animals were calling me, especially the farm animals. And my activism was shifting towards them. And these are blockades that we did using Earth First tactics of you locking yourself into metal sleeves and these cement-filled concrete barrels where we were blocking. This was blocking Fulton Poultry in Santa Rosa. We got a lot of great media coverage doing all this. Over on the right here is another blockade of Rancho Ville slaughterhouse in Petaluma. And that's me on the left, laying down there, locked down to Neiman Marcus for a Fur-Free Friday, 1997. So the 2000s came, and I was getting kind of deep into my 30s. I had been working at a natural food store for 14 years, mainly because, they were kind of cool with me calling up and saying, I've been arrested again, I'm not going to make it for my, my shift. My world was activism, my world was the animals, and I kind of realized, you know what, I'm not going to have some career, I'm not going to make any money, I'm not going to have a retirement, it's just not going to happen. The animals are calling me, I have to dedicate, I have to do it, I have to, full on. So I started working for In Defense of Animals. And this was a really wonderful shift because it kind of thrust me into a national stage, organizing national and international activism, doing more tabling, leafleting, speaking, food giveaways, all kinds of wonderful activism. I've been speaking, reaching more audiences. I've also been doing animal rescue, direct animal rescue, which I think is very rewarding. If you have a sanctuary that's near you, I encourage it because I feel like it's been very nurturing to my heart to do direct animal rescue. So another thing that I always have loved is writing, and this was a publication that I did back in 2001 with Sonoma People for Animal Rights. I would write all the copy. Someone else did the layout and design, but I wrote all the copy for years, and that copy kind of turned into a little zine. I don't know if you know what a zine is, but it's a kind of a little grassrootsy book that grassroots activists make. So I produced a zine and produced that for many years, and eventually that turned into my book. I quit IDA because I realized I was not going to be able to write the book while I was working full-time, and I spent a year writing my book. The Ultimate Betrayal is Their Happy Meat. Of course, it's about the humane meat hoax, all these labels that we're seeing, the free range, cage-free, organic, and I delved deep into that, into the research, interviewed people that had gone undercover in these, in these facilities, and the animal stories themselves as well from sanctuaries. And anyway, so that's my book. And now, getting into now, I about 8 months ago got hired at United Poultry Concerns, working as their projects manager, and I am so thrilled. It's a wonderful organization focusing on chickens, yeah, they're just amazing work. I'm kind of a West Coast representative, and we're working right now actually on a backyard slaughter ban in a major a major California city. I'll narrow it down to there. We're not going to say what city yet, but this new backyard slaughter, thing is getting really out of hand. But that's a whole nother thing that I don't have time for. I really encourage you, if you can, please come up to the exhibit hall and see me at the United Poultry Concerns booth. We're inside the big hall, and you can get some of our chicken-specific literature and learn more about what we do. But I'm going to wrap it up now, and my advice to you, this would be my piece of advice, and that is to research what works, what's effective. We're so lucky now that we have 30 years of activists that have been doing this, that have been researching, that have, there's now studies, there's science out there that tells us what is effective. And these are books that I recommend, that gives wonderful information about that. So educate yourself, and it's great that you're here. It just really does my heart incredibly good to see all of you here, that you took the time, a long weekend out of your life to come here for the animals. It's so beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank yourselves. And yeah, I appreciate your time.